Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us.
All right, hello and welcome to Tuesday Night Mania. Yes, Ace is with us, but he said I could host today, so I'm going to host. So we're waiting on trying to get Will on. He's having a little technical issues, but I'll introduce everybody. Below me, we got Mr. Mestero making a rare appearance on the show. How you doing, Mestero?
I'm good. Long day at work, especially since I quit chewing today. So it's been kind of a rough day for me, but I'm getting through it.
All right, and then kitty corner from me, we got Joe. Joe, how you doing, Joe? We can't hear you, Joe.
I don't know if he's on mute or what's going on, but yeah,
I
definitely can't hear him.
Yeah, so
yeah,
Joe,
we still can't hear you, brother.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Joe.
We can't hear you.
Yeah. All right. Sorry for the
fine.
technical issues, but Ace, it's been a couple weeks. How you doing, bud?
You know what? I am doing very good. Chief in the house. What's going on there, Thomas?
Chief is in the house, and
Chief is in the house.
He's part of Thoughts Calling Anywhere Sundays afternoon. I think it's 11 o'clock my time. So, or it might be 1 o'clock my time because they're an hour behind me. They're out in Vegas. They had the special privilege of being part of Ultimate Women's Wrestling the other day. They had a pay-per-view. I was looking for the results. I did not see them, so I will get a hold of them. Hopefully, maybe Chief can kind of fill us in on how they're doing. So, Joe, you back?
Yeah, guys. I'm sorry.
There
I couldn't hear nobody. I could see you guys, but I could not hear anything that time.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
How you doing, Joe?
Yeah, I lost my hearing, man. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
All right. So typically, we start off with talking about Impact. Ace, did you watch Impact at all? I know you kind of been keeping up.
I did, and this week again, it was actually another good week. I'll tell you what. I am really liking what they're doing with Josh Alexander. I really do. I mean, he's clearly, and it's not even close. Like, he's clearly the best wrestler in Impact. So he's rightfully right now definitely deserves to be champion. I really am wanting him at some point. I think, and Joe, maybe you might disagree with me on this one though, but at some point, I really feel like he needs to go up against Sammy, don't you think?
Yeah, I think, well, Sammy's got to get his feet wet again. I think so. With him working with Moose right now, it's a perfect thing for him. And it kind of gives Josh a little chance to work with a couple different guys before they get to that. But yeah, he will definitely have to go up against Sammy at some point in time. Sammy,
Eddie, it's, yeah.
Yeah, I think, because I think Sammy at some point deserves another run at a championship, but they need to build Josh up with credibility. And in order to do that, he needs to go over some of the veterans, which is what he's doing right now, over Eric Young. And I think now he's I didn't watch it last week, so I don't know if they've already pushed it yet for him to take on Joe Doring or whatever, coming up at Slammiversary. If not, that might be a spoiler alert, and I apologize because I did not get to fully watch Slammiversary Impact last week, so I don't know. But
no, it
looks like he's going to go through that Violent by Design group before we get to see him and Sammy down the road.
Yeah, but I will say, though, Violent by Design, you can see a little bit of rift in that group there. You can see a little bit of rift, which it was showing last week because Young, he finally came back, and then like you could immediately be like, okay, I see a little bit of rift. I feel like something's going on. Are they going to turn on him, or is he going to turn on them? It's going to be, I don't know. it's going to be.
I like Eric Young as a heel more than I do a face right now. I think he plays a really, really good heel. So it would be disappointing to see him turn on them. Well, I think he would have to turn on them in order to get over, and then just start a new group and get rid of those guys type thing. Because I just don't see Eric Young being a good babyface anymore, unless he's being that crazy Eric Young like he was back in the early TNA days.
I was going to say, I do agree with you, though, that Eric Young makes a fantastic heel. He makes a fantastic heel. I think he's just fine on his own. I don't think he needs to be with Violent by design, but it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do with them. Now, Honor No More is another group that I feel like once they got Honor No More and kind of established them, I kind of feel like they really helped Impact kind of take off. And so they're kind of that group that I'm like, they need to stay together. Honor No More is a group that I'm like, don't separate them. Don't separate Honor No More. Impact needs them.
Yeah, because especially with Ring of Honor not knowing what they're doing with them right now, Honor No More, it's a great place for them. They get to hone their skills even more. Mm-hmm. Great talent there to work with. And I know Will's watching because he's trying to get his butt on here. But shout out to him tonight because his guest at his gathering coming up is going to be PCO up there. So I know Will is a super big fan of PCOs.
Well, here he is.
And speaking of Will, there he is.
There's the Podfather.
Collectible himself. Will, how are you doing?
Oh my gosh, technical difficulties like crazy. Oh.
Yeah.
We're just talking about your buddy PCO and Honor No More and Impact Wrestling. What's your thoughts on it?
PCO is incredible, man. I'll tell you a quick little story about PCO. A couple weeks ago, in Orlando, he was live doing a match, and he hits that moonsault off the top rope onto the ring apron, and I don't know if he slipped or he just didn't judge the angle correctly or what, but he ended up flat on the mat outside the ring instead of landing on his opponent.
Oh.
And, I mean, there was like a deafening silence in the crowd for 20 seconds. Like, what the hell just happened? Is this guy even breathing? You know what I mean? So the guy's 54 years old and he's out there cutting moves like he's a luchador, So incredible guy.
All right. And then I was watching AEW before he came on, and Warlord is the new TNA champion. The Bullet Club split from the Acclaim. I saw there. I was just watching the women's tag match right now. What else happened? QT came out and tried to diss Brody Lee and Dark Order, and I think they're building something with Negative One, who is Brody Clay's son, Brody Lee's son, not Brody Clay, Brody Lee's son. So I don't know what they're doing there. So, but every time they're around Brody Lee's hometown, they always pay respect to him, and I really appreciate that. So, anybody else want to wrap up AEW? Something I might have missed, or
no? Well, Wardlow's the new TNT champion, so congratulations to him on that. I think that does him good. That sets him up for longevity in that title picture runs. I didn't watch. In fact, I didn't watch AEW either. I told Will I've been so busy. I've caught clips here and there, but I have not probably watched an AEW show in probably 3 weeks now. I hear Christian Cage out there talking about Jungle Boy and
he
his dead dad and stuff like that, and I think that's a little crazy. And then they got I don't know, man. They're just flip-flopping everybody. It looks like Swerve's about ready to turn on Keith Lee, and Jonathan Gresham just turned heel on Rampage. To me, it's just more
they're trying to do some. Yeah, they're definitely trying to do some things there. So,
what are your thoughts on Christian and the things that he's saying? Because I think at some point we have to draw a line with our promos that we cut on each other. And when you start talking a little bit too deep about people's extremely personal demons, we might be going a little too far. I get it. It's a show. It's a promo. I get it, but I think that doesn't do good for the fans. I think that actually upsets the fans on a personal level. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Christian, but some of the stuff about to Matt Hardy, about Jeff Hardy, that may not be appropriate for even the rated R era versus today's PG era. I think that was way overboard, and especially something that's currently going on. And I know Sheamus did it and WWE allowed it and all that stuff, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well,
I'll tell you though. If you look at that story, what he said, remember years ago, CM Punk did the same thing to Jeff Hardy when Jeff Hardy got cut by WWE for his problems. CM Punk came out dressed like Jeff Hardy and talked about his demons and things like that. They're just rehashing an old storyline. I mean, they're not creating anything new, but there's a borderline with that, especially on Twitter right now with Jordan Grace. I don't know if you guys caught that one about Chris Benoit and things like that. Now Nancy's sisters got involved in that. Some of those things are tough things to talk about. Sometimes you just should not say things like that.
Yeah, which really.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because I was gonna say my point was this, because you mentioned, Sheamus, who said it in WWE, and then you also mentioned how CM Punk, had said it before and everything about Jeff Hardy. But this is the thing I noticed. But it was that, when WWE did it, when Sheamus stepped up and said it, he got criticized so much for it. Like WWE got criticized and talked about how it was such a bad thing because they shouldn't have disrespected Jeff Hardy. And then Christian did it in AEW, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's brilliant." And I'm like, "Wait, what the?" I was like, "Why is it okay for him to do it, but it's not okay for them?" Like, I don't get it. Where's that line then? If it's okay for one, why is it not okay for them? I don't get it.
But let me ask you this. If you had a friend that was struggling with something like that, would you say things like that to them or to someone about them?
No, trust me. I agree with you. I would not do it. But that's my point, though, is if you're going to criticize one promotion for doing it, why do you not criticize the other promotion? And you're saying it's okay for one to sit there and bash on somebody's demons.
I'm not saying it's okay.
No. I'm not saying you. I'm saying the people who've come out and said it, who said when AEW did it, it was brilliant. I'm like, well, then why wasn't it okay when they did it? But it's okay if they do it. So it's like one of those things. I'm like, it's not okay when anybody does it. Yeah. So I don't get it how it's okay if they did it.
I know it's a character. I know it's a show. But I think sometimes that, on a personal level, what's going to happen when those two guys are back in the locker room together? And, for me, it's the wrong thing to do. It doesn't make for good TV.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my opinion on it. And I think that, there's a lot better ways you can do a lot of different things with promos about people. Like, for example, if he's out because of all this, then why are you not talking about, he's out because he's so scared to be here, or he's so scared to be in the ring and face me or whatever. Those are things that you talk about in wrestling, not something like that. That's just my opinion. But, we're 25 minutes into the hour.
Nope.
AEW.
And I'll go along too. I'll criticize WWE with the Vince McMahon thing, what he's doing too. He should be on TV with everything he's got going on too.
Deserve 25 minutes of our podcast. I can tell you that.
Yeah. All right. So Thomas Glenn's chiming in. He wrote the results for us for the Ultimate Women's of Wrestling. The Renegade Twins defeated Blair and Robbie. Xena over Rachel. Viva Van defeated Sandra Moon. Alex Garcia over Grimes, Tampa over McDaddy, and in the main event, Diamond Knight defeated Big Swall. So again, if you guys catch that, it's Ultimate Women's Wrestling down in Vegas. I don't know if they're traveling, but so anyways, let's move on quickly to our next topic, which quick recap of the Money in the Bank. Well, we'll start with you. What did you think of Money in the Bank?
So, everybody talks about let's get something new, let's get something different. Then Theory wins. He throws a fit because Theory won. Could there
Except for a mess around.
I was okay with it too.
Oh, I thought you called on me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, I mean, the thing is with Theory, I mean, you wanted something new, you wanted something different. And then, I told you guys several times, and I called it during the podcast, usually the winner of the Money in the Bank is never who you think it will be or who it should be. It's always somebody like just off the wall. I mean, again, I've referenced this several times. Remember once Otis won Money in the Bank? So, I mean, that should tell you a lot. Now, as far as Liv, I think that's the best thing they could have done. I think if Rhea was still there and not out with a brain injury, there's no doubt in my mind Rhea would have won it and Rhea would be a champion. And I really think Rhea needs a good big push. But when she comes back, there's a great feud to be had there with her and Liv because Liv can really go and Rhea is very impressive. And I think those two will make, some really, really good matches coming up soon. It's unfortunate because I kept thinking, maybe the whole thing with Rhea was a storyline, but apparently, she's got some concussions and she's had some concussions that, concussions are horrible over time, and it's a she's so young, but she's going to have to definitely take care of herself in the ring if and when she returns. But, she's a big star, and I think she probably could be the number one women's wrestler in the world, given the right push and opportunity.
Nice. Joe, what did you think of Money in the Bank?
Just touch up on Will's thing there, Rhea. She's wearing a heart monitor right now too, so she's got some heart issues going on too. So best of luck to her. I mean, hopefully they figure out what it is and get her back in the ring, down the line because she's definitely got a lot of talent there. My takeaways from Money in the Bank, I'm like, well, we never saw it coming with Theory winning. I think we all called it Rollins because of Rollins could hold it, and then Cody could come back and cash in and continue that storyline. Liv winning, finally, thank goodness. Finally, WWE did something right after us pissing and moaning for months that Liv should be a champion, and they keep screwing her over.
Nope.
And come to find out, if you guys are watching the results on like dirt sheets and stuff like that, Liv is over as champion right now. They said on house shows she's getting the biggest pop out of everybody right now. So hats off for WWE for finally doing something right there. I think her rematch with Ronda is going to be good. I think Liv continues on her run for a little while there.
No,
Usos and Street Profits, best match of the night, hands down. Those guys, I think, man, you can give them an hour match and you can be entertained from start to finish. I like that feud. As far as the rest of the show, I thought it was just, it was an okay show. I'm glad they had it in the MGM Grand because they definitely would not have sold out or even got close to selling out Allegiant Stadium.
If I was writing for WWE right now with the whole Liv and Ronda thing, I would definitely have Liv beat Ronda, but I would have her beat her, kind of like a small package or a roll-up or something that, you're not expecting. And then I would turn Ronda into like an absolute monster heel and break Liv's arm or, beat her half to death with a chair or something. I mean, because that's what Ronda wants anyway. She wants to be that monster heel. And, you're really missing that with the WWE women right now because you don't really have that. I mean, you've got some that are kind of like tougher than others or whatever, but I think you're really missing the, monster heel part of it. And they really dropped the ball with Nia Jax when she was there because Nia Jax could have been the female version of Yokozuna and have just squashed everybody and just been brutal. And they turned her into a big joke, and it was extremely unfortunate that happened. And then, of course, she ends up leaving and then doesn't come back and then gets let go and all that stuff. But, writing wise, you could have done so much with her. Now you have the opportunity with Ronda where you could turn her into such a badass heel. And I'm afraid they're going to drop the ball on that. I hope they don't put the belt back on Ronda and take it right back off of Liv at SummerSlam, because that would be a major blow to what everybody's been hoping for.
Well, touch up on that, Will, because I like what you're saying there with her being a monster heel. I think she'd be better as a heel anyways. She's got that persona where you want to hate her. And you know who else would get a rub off of that? Would be Shayna. I think they would be a great dominant women's tag team champions that would give credibility to those women tag team titles again.
I agree, and I think Thomas Glenn just said that too.
Yep.
Ron,
If he did, I didn't say it. So Thomas is thinking the same thing I am. He's a smart man.
I agree.
Nope, I was thinking the same thing. So,
and then you're going to need some sort of superhero to come by and defeat those two, because Shayna and together
girl again, and you get the returning Bailey or something down the road.
Another thing about the bank too, I wanted to throw out there. I know some of you guys predicted it and some of us didn't predict it, but I was really surprised that they took that U.S. title off of Theory and put it on Lashley. So for a couple different reasons. Number one, you were spending all this time wasted, trying to pretend there was going to be a feud between Cena and Theory, and then you drop it to Lashley, and ultimately that U.S. title. And no offense to anybody that's wore that belt or respects the belt, but the U.S. title is kind of a step down, a big step down for Lashley, where he was just, WWE champion and should be in the main event picture. There's not a lot of guys right now that can be in that main event picture. So why in the hell would you put Lashley as the U.S. champion? You're basically, just my way of looking at it, the U.S. title is kind of equivalent to the Intercontinental title, but maybe the Intercontinental title holds a little bit more prestige, and then the U.S. title, they're pretty close, but Intercontinental champion is kind of like second place, basically. It's what it's always been, It's the championship to get you ready for the real championship kind of thing, Yep. And then you have Lashley in kind of like the third place, where, ultimately Lashley should be a much bigger star than even Drew right now, and I don't know. I'm just surprised they took that U.S. title off of Theory and put it on Lashley, and then they're going to give Theory the Money in the Bank case for what? Because if Theory tried to cash in on Roman, that would be almost embarrassing. So that's kind of my take on those things there. Money in the Bank, the whole Montez Ford, Dawkins thing, they're talking about splitting those guys up. That'd be the worst thing they could do, because those two guys are really over. The Usos, of course, are very, very over. But I think, Montez and Dawkins, I think they're a great tag team, and I think it would be a shame to split that up. But at the same time, you just never know with the writing. But again, if anybody's going to take those tag titles off the Usos, it's going to have to be somebody. I don't know why you wouldn't have Ford and Dawkins do it. Those guys are very, very over, and they're a great tag team, and they're a lot of fun to watch. They're entertaining guys, and that's what you want.
If they don't take it off of them, I'll be honest with you, Will, I don't know who can at that point, because there's nobody that's, in my opinion, that's set up to do that.
Well, Viking Raiders.
Let's hope it's not. What the hell is their name? Otis and the other guy.
Alpha Academy.
American Alpha.
American Alpha.
Oh Lord.
Or Academy or something like that. Alpha Academy.
Yeah. The Creed brothers are coming up for a minute.
You ever think?
I like the Creed brothers, man. I
You too.
do.
You ever think talent that's got released, and then you still have those two guys running around?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
All right. Mess around. What about your boy winning Money in the Bank? What do you think?
That was the best thing they could have done. Had my boy Theory win. The guy's gold on the mic. He's great in the ring. I mean, I didn't see it coming. I didn't even know he was going to be in the match. Like everybody, I was surprised. But once they announced him as being the guy and the extra guy in there, I knew he was going to win. You're not just going to put him in to have him lose.
Yeah.
And then having Liv win, that was awesome too. That made the whole show. The rest of the show could have bombed, and I thought the show would have been great because of her winning. I also read that Ronda Rousey demanded that Liv Morgan be made champion.
Mm-hmm.
So that was awesome for her to do that for Liv.
Yep. Ace, how about you, Money in the Bank? I know we kind of
yeah.
talked about it on Sunday.
Yeah, but I was also reading this comment from Thomas Glenn to where I thought the same thing too. I said take McIntyre and Sheamus and put them as a tag team, because that would be killer. Like that would be killer. I could go for that also. But yeah, to me, Money in the Bank was good. I was like mess around Dave to where I was okay with Theory winning. We can call him three belts Theory now. You know, once he wins the U.S. title and then cashes in on Roman and gets the undisputed title, he'll be the 3-belt Theory.
Oh boy.
I mean, hats off to WWE. Like we said, everybody wants to complain when they push somebody new.
Yep.
But I think if they push Theory right, and people have said this, that Theory has all the potential to be a world champion down the road.
Oh, yeah.
As a champion on the independent scenes, and the guy is phenomenal. He's a great human being in general, very humble and kind. But I think that they're right. He's pushed right. I don't know if he could be the next John Cena, like they're saying. I mean, that's some big still.
You could push Theory to be a world champion if you split up those two titles.
Yes.
If you keep those two titles together, you're not going to have Theory go out there and beat Roman and draw a crowd. You know, you're already having trouble filling Allegiant Stadium with Roman as your champion. If you've got Theory as your champion, you're not going to fill a high school stadium.
I mean,
they're having trouble filling SummerSlam right now too.
But I'm telling you though, like the thing is with Theory, it for me, I just like overall kind of what he does, and I'm not saying that he's gonna be the next John Cena. You know, I'm not saying that at all. But I kind of like what they're doing with him currently to try and get him there, to try and push him out. Not like John Cena status, but to kind of give him that little bit of a push, because to me he is kind of that next up and comer. And you haven't seen anybody like this get this much heel heat in a long time. Like, this dude's getting so much heat as a heel. I'm like, if you don't like him, he's doing his job then. Yep. Because that's what he's supposed to be doing, and he's getting a lot of heel heat.
Isn't he also now the youngest United States champion ever?
Yep.
So another honorable mention, let's throw this out there real quick too. John Cena recognized again as the #1 celebrity of all time to grant more Make-A-Wishes out there than any other celebrity ever.
Yep.
So
him.
That's what makes that guy a great person, and that's why I'm a John Cena fan. I mean, I liked a lot of his in-ring work, but not nearly as much as I liked the person. And congratulations to him, and shame on everybody else that trying to win that title. Every celebrity out there, I think we had this conversation. I don't remember if it was on the live or if it was in the chat or where it was, but you know, without the fans, none of these people are anything. I mean, they're Tom and Joe and Larry and Mo, you know what I mean? Like, they're not anybody, you know? And I mean, this is a guy that goes above and beyond, you know. I'm sorry to recap this whole thing, but did you guys see the one about the video of the kid that came over from, I believe, Poland?
Yeah.
I mean, John Cena gets in a plane and flies and goes and sees this kid. I mean, how incredible of a person is that, you know? And every other celebrity that's not at his level of status, and I know we throw this word around all the time, and we talk about the debates of, you know, this generation and that generation. But when it comes to a celebrity as a people person, I'm willing to say that John Cena is the greatest of all time.
No, I can't disagree. And I mean, even Will, you talked about the video with the kid, but how about the video a few years ago when everybody surprised him? He thought he was getting something else, and people are coming out of the background and saying how much they recognize him. So
Pass her out of the room, so don't let her in.
and he was starting to tear up. So, but let's move on. The next topic we have is name a match that had potential to be one of the greatest but wasn't. So I'll let Will start with this one since he's the one that dropped the topic. So get his perspective.
So, talking about some of the greatest matches of all time. So there's so many out there. Everybody has their favorite. Everybody has their, I remember when this was and everything else. WrestleMania 3, Ricky Steamboat and Macho Man. WrestleMania 10, Razor and Shawn. WrestleMania 25, Shawn and The Undertaker. You always have all those matches out there that are considered the greatest of all time. But what about those matches out there that are built up to be humongous? Then they happen, and you're like, man, I was so excited, and that wasn't that great. So that was a topic that I was discussing, kind of throwing around and talking about, and for me, and I'm sorry again for you guys, but, a match that just did not live up to the hype, WrestleMania 14, The Undertaker versus Kane, could have been and possibly should have been the main event of WrestleMania 14 because of how much they had built that up. And that's just one match of millions that was so built up. And if you watch that match, really wasn't that great. So why wasn't that match as great as it could have been? Well, first of all, most of the time when you have two really big wrestlers wrestling each other, it's never as good as when you have one bigger wrestler and one smaller wrestler because of the variation of the moves and stuff. That's just one match out of thousands and thousands. Another thing that I thought could have been a really, really big match. If you look back to the 1995 King of the Ring, and you look at Bam Bam Bigelow and Diesel versus Tatanka, we talked about this a little while back on this show. That's another one of those matches that had tremendous potential and really kind of flopped. So those are a couple of the matches that I wanted to just throw out there. I think it's a topic that we could discuss a whole lot more in the future, and everybody really kind of look at matches that kind of built up to be huge, and then they just didn't live up to the hype. So those are a couple that I'm going to throw out this week. What do you got, Ace? What do you think?
For me, I'm gonna actually go to WrestleMania 29, and what I'm saying at WrestleMania 29 is the second match between The Rock and John Cena, because the first match, it was supposed to be that once in a lifetime, and so it was supposed to be that match, and then the next year, like, well, it was great the first time. Because it was once in a lifetime, it was well received. So then if we do it the second year and we make it a title match, it would be much better. And it just didn't live up to it because it already happened. Now I feel they should have done the title match the first time and made it once in a lifetime, and it would have been much better. So definitely that second match between Rock and Cena just definitely was not the same as the first one, and it could have been way better, I thought.
I agree.
Now, how about you, Mess Around? What do you got?
I was there, literally there for that first one between Cena and Rock. I was there at WrestleMania 28, and there was no way in the world, and I know it sounds crazy, but there's no way in the world I thought Rock was going to win. I thought for sure they were going to put Cena over The Rock. And then when Rock won, I was shocked. And I think a lot of people, even though they were cheering for Rock, I think a lot of people were shocked in the crowd. So go ahead.
All right, Mess Around. What about
Are we talking about the worst WrestleMania match?
No, a match that you thought was hyped out really well but turned out to be a dud.
Oh, so many to choose from. I'm going to go with the Brett versus Owen at WrestleMania thing. That, to me, just wasn't as good as I thought it should have been. You had brother against brother, and I thought it could have been so much better.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. All right, Joe. How about you? I see both
Oh,
those guys are shaking their head.
Just to answer a question really quick, Thomas. If you were asking about Rock, the Rock got hurt during his second match with John Cena.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
I
he
just saw
did.
that come up.
He had to leave the arena afterwards and go get surgery.
Yeah.
Tore
All
his
right, Joe.
he tore his abdominal muscle, which put the movie Fast and Furious that he was doing on hold, and they were a little upset on that one.
Also, too, Thomas Brunette says, "No way would you put Taker Kane
Yeah.
on over the crowning of Austin." So I know the crowning of Austin was humongous, but you got to remember Sean was hurt. Sean wasn't going to have a grade A match like they needed him to have and expected. And Taker Kane's feud had been built so big that ultimately I think you could have done it to where Taker Kane was last that night, but it would have had to have been a much better match than it was. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right, Joe.
My pick, honestly, and there was two of them. WrestleMania 6, Hogan and Warrior. I thought Hogan should have turned heel that night, and they could have went off and made some really good money off of that.
Ooh, okay.
But the one that really built up, and I'm surprised none of us actually picked it, was the Sting-Hogan encounter at Starrcade.
Oh.
It was such a build-up. Remember, Sting was out for over a year.
Yep.
And, yeah, Hogan and Sting did fight on Nitro one night, and they got a lot of interference. Nothing got settled in it. But then Sting went on this hiatus in the rafters, all this good stuff, kept pointing out in the crowd who you want to fight. Now, WCW was very smart, kept him out of the ring and made record-breaking numbers on that night. But that whole entire match was a disaster. If you go back and listen to Eric Bischoff's podcast, he talks about that. And he was disappointed, and they almost switched the finish to Hogan going over that night. And the running joke was like Sting walked in there, took off his jacket, and he was white as a ghost. They're like, dude, he's been gone for a year. He should have been tan more than Hogan. But the reality was that Sting came into that match. He hadn't worked out. Obviously, he hadn't tanned, stuff like that. So there was some big confusion that night. But I remember that being the build-up. Everybody was excited to finally see those two finally get it going on. And we had so much mishap in that match. And the matches after that between those two just wasn't good.
What happened in that match where Hogan pinned Sting?
He pinned him, and Nick Patrick, they tried to say that Nick did a fast count, but in reality, Nick Patrick did the normal count, and Sting forgot to kick out in time. Right. So they had to have Brett come down and say, oh, he counted too fast, and they were coming off the Montreal screw job.
So, originally I thought that was like a big accident, like that happened. I thought it was a big accident.
I did too, and when I listened to the podcast of his, they went into great details. They said Nick Patrick did exactly what he was supposed to do. He counted normal, and somewhere along the way, Sting, for whatever reason, forgot to kick out, right. And they had to call basically an audible at that moment, say, hey, Brett, you got to go down and say, oh, he counted too fast, we're restarting this match, and there we go.
So Thomas Glenn, the Chief, puts in the comments, Brett versus Sean, the Montreal Screwjob could have been a match. Absolutely.
I still think it was.
Absolutely agree. It could have been. They had that whole 10 minutes outside the ring before the match started where they were just beating the hell out of each other. But in reality, if they had just got in the ring and had the match that they should have had, then that may have been the best of what really was their, they wrestled a lot, but what really was their trio of matches. Because their trio would have been like Shawn versus Brett when Shawn was IC champ, Brett was world champ.
Yep.
Survivor Series 92, then you had WrestleMania 12, and then you had Survivor Series 97. So out of those trios, that could have been their best match. I'll tell you another thing, too. If you watch the Iron Man match, I think between those two, I think they really made a humongous mistake making it go all the way to the end with no falls and then doing that 2-minute extra thing. I think that should have been like a 5-4 or a 4-3 or whatever, with some falls in there. Even if you did some countouts or disqualifications or something somewhere along the way, there was a lot of missed opportunity in that match. Especially considering it's an hour long, and if you get disqualified, you lose a fall. But if you were to hit your opponent with a chair and knock him unconscious, yes, you would have lost a fall for a disqualification, but then you could have pinned him 2 or 3 times before he was back alert. You know what I mean? So I
You've
think
been watching me play video games lately too, haven't you? That's what I do on them.
there's some major missed opportunity there. That wasn't one of the matches I was talking about, but just throwing that out, that match alone, there was so.
I tell you what, though, they talk about that match in great detail on that new A&E show of Rivals. That was their first episode, and if you guys haven't seen it yet, I tell you, you need to watch that one and the Undertaker biography. They were great. Good. Yeah. Only one I haven't watched is that Smack Talk or whatever it is coming up. But and you don't even have to own internet or cable to have it. You can download the A&E app, and it's on there for free. So watch that thing, man. That's really good. That biography I thought was way better than one that WWE produced.
Which one was it? The Undertaker?
The Undertaker one. That one was way better.
Came
I
out Sunday.
Thought.
The one
I was telling you last night about it. I said, "Have you watched it yet?" And you said you haven't. But that was really good.
They're on the damn fit.
The one that I want to see on there is the one with Lex Luger.
That's going to be a good one.
Yeah. But for me, though, I'm probably going to throw a couple curveballs at you guys because I was a big fan of both of them. And I think Joe kind of brought up the first match, or Warrior versus Hogan. When they tried to redo it in WCW, they hyped it up so much, and it was flat. I mean, yeah, we got to see the rematch, but to me, that one just didn't live up to the way it was. And then the second one.
So first of all, Big B, let me throw this right. Perfect point, Big B. But also, too, why the hell would that not be your main event that night?
Yeah.
How the hell are you going to have Hogan and Warrior and it not be main event?
Yep.
Who was the main event? Goldberg and Page that night?
Yeah.
And they went off the air and they had to give away the pay-per-view for free anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the second one happened on Nitro, and I know it was part of the storyline, and Hogan didn't want a job to Jeff Jarrett, but I thought that could have been a great match. And Jarrett comes in, just lays down, and then gets
that was that match at the beach.
Yeah, it was a match at the beach. Okay, I thought for some reason I was thinking Nitro, but that one I thought could have been a great match too. And I think Hogan's ego just got the best of him for that one. So
a lot of politics in that one.
Oh, exactly. You're exactly right.
Me, brother.
Yeah.
They both talk about Jeff Jarrett talks about it on his podcast too about that.
Oh,
He
yeah.
said that was one of his worst moments, but there was so much politics. And Eric Bischoff talks about it on 83 Weeks. So you got to listen to both sides of that because you get Jeff Jarrett and Vince Russo's side of it. You get Eric Bischoff and his side of it. So go all your way to listen to those two podcasts, man. Those are really good.
Hey, Big B, great match called out. That's a great match to call out.
Oh, thank you. So let's move on to our historical moment. Bash at the Beach 94. Will.
Man,
we lost Ace.
He just jumped backstage quick. So
Ace left the. So Bash at the Beach 94, incredible card. I mean, you could literally watch that thing from beginning to end. And if you're an old school fan or a mid 90s fan, late 80s fan, incredible card from beginning to end. You got to kind of read off what the card was. But, the biggest thing was a little bit before that, there was a match going on Saturday night's main event. And at the bottom of the screen comes across, Hulk Hogan has signed with WCW. And you knew right then and there something was going to change. WCW was going to change. So you fast forward, you got Clash of the Champions, you got Sting as international world champion or whatever. He had the big gold. You had Flair, he was WCW champion. He had the WCW 91 to 94 title. So they're doing a merge. We're doing a one champion match, basically. We're doing a what do they call it, Joe? When they merge the titles?
Unification, unified.
Unification, right. So at the Clash of Champions, you have a unification match between Flair and Sting, which is incredible. The match is incredible. I love that match. I could watch it right now, and it's from 27 years ago or 28 years ago, whatever it is. And it's just incredible. Absolutely awesome match. And then at the end of it, you have Flair, of course, cheats to win, beats Sting, becomes the unified champion. And then, which even though he became unified champion, I don't think they ever counted that in his title wins, which they should have. But I don't think
They don't. Flair brings that up, actually. I'm sorry, Will.
But anyway, he should have because he became another world champion at that point. But then you have Hogan come out, and he stops him from beating the hell out of Sting and all that stuff. And it sets up Hogan. It sets up Flair for Bash at the Beach 94.
Yep.
At the time, becomes the biggest WCW pay-per-view of all time. And it's incredible. The match is incredible. The chemistry between the two is incredible. Now, that's a match that should have taken place at a WrestleMania a couple years earlier, but it didn't. But here you finally get to see this big match with Flair and Hogan. Incredible match. I loved every minute of it. I could watch it right now. As a matter we get done in 5 minutes. Turn it on. But, go back and watch that. Hogan, a spoiler alert, which it shouldn't be a spoiler, 7 years old or 28 years old. But, spoiler alert, Hogan wins, becomes WCW champion, and it sets up a feud for the entire rest of the year, basically, between Hogan and Flair. But what an incredible match. What an incredible opportunity when Hogan comes in, Bash 94, truly a historical pay-per-view, 100% historical. Joe, what do you think?
It was. It was a big build-up, and we got robbed of it in the WWE. Only time you got to see it was on wrestling or on primetime wrestling, and it was at house shows. No clear-cut winner, and then hats off to Hogan, man. He came in that match, and he looked good. He slimmed down. He got off the gas, and he was actually agile. He looked like a Hogan of old a little bit there. A little pep in his step, more or less. Ric Flair, being the man that he is, looked good as well, too. I mean, he did say movesets, but something about his movesets that he does in WCW compared to the movesets that he does in WWE, he just looks better fit in WCW doing them. And I remember, you had Linda out there at ringside or sitting in the crowd in a long evening gown and her friends, and you got little Nick and Brooke out there, and whole family affair, Shaquille O'Neal, Mr. T. WCW went all out to make this thing happen. I've seen that car of his over in Clearwater or over in Orlando when they had it there before he sold it. It's crazy. You look inside of it, and it had a cassette tape player in there. I'm like, what in the world? But WCW at that time finally did something right.
Yep.
All right, Best Friend, what's your thoughts on Bash to the Beach 94?
Couple comments real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Thomas Burnett made the comment. Austin and Steamboat was on that card also for the U.S. title. What a great match that was. And I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that was Steamboat's last match in WCW. I believe it was.
It's either that one or the Regal match. That's one of his last ones.
I think it was Austin and Steamboat was the last. I think that was it until he did that little comeback in 2009 against Jericho, but that doesn't really count.
It very well could be.
And then Sherry made her debut at that Clash of the Champions that we were talking about in WCW. Yep. So,
whose side is she on? She's wearing black and white, and
yep.
that was good. That was a good time for WCW. Like I said, they finally got it going.
Mm-hmm.
Just like 4 years earlier, they had the chance with the Undertaker and blew that whole entire thing, and now they finally got it right.
All right, Best Friend, what did you think of Bash at the Beach 94?
Honestly, I didn't watch it. I wasn't a big WCW guy back in the day. I was more WWE. I didn't start watching WCW until like the Monday Night Wars, and really until Brett went over. Because I was a huge Brett fan. So when Brett went to WCW, that's when I pretty much started watching WCW.
Yeah. No, I'm looking at the card right now, and I mean, the last three matches all were over 20 minutes long. You had Austin Steamboat win 20 minutes, 6 seconds. You had Pretty Wonderful, Paul Roma, Paul Orndorff defeating Cactus Jack and Terry Sullivan for the tag titles with 20 minutes. And then Hogan Flair went almost 22 minutes there. So
Cactus Jack going 20 minutes, man. Can you believe that?
Yeah, no kidding. I might have to go back and watch it. Just
Pretty Wonderful, man. They one of the most underrated tag teams out there. I'm telling you.
Yes, they are.
Thomas Burnett, our historian, corrects us and says Steamboat's last match was against Austin, but it was the month following at the Clash of the Champions.
Okay.
Okay.
So thank you, Thomas. Appreciate it.
The back injury got him that
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
Yep.
And actually, Thomas Burnett also brought this up. You said that Pretty Wonderful was underrated. He was a big fan of Pretty Wonderful. So
They were. They had some great matches. I
Yeah,
mean, they
yeah.
really did. They are one of those tag teams. When we talked about underrateds, we all kind of. I mean, Will even said it. Was Pretty Wonderful was an underrated tag team.
yeah. So we got about 10 minutes left here. With SummerSlam coming up, what's your top 3 matches, guys, ever? So, Joe, I'll start with you. What's your top 3 matches of SummerSlam?
Woo!
I know, that's what I was saying.
Oh man, I didn't even have time to really think about it. I'll pass on that one for a minute.
All right, Will, how about you? Go ahead. Top 3 SummerSlam
Hey, I had to
matches.
work today. Somebody's got to work to pay the bills.
Matches of all time for me is easily Razor Ramon and Diesel, number 94. For me, I liked Undertaker versus The Undertaker. I thought that. And then, of course, Luger versus Yokozuna, one of my time matches. Even though the ending wasn't great, those are 3 of my absolute favorites. With an honorable mention of 1992 when you had Brett and Bulldog for the Intercontinental title.
All right. We did have Ace. Mess around. How about you? What do you think of SummerSlam, your best matches?
Shawn Michaels versus Triple H, SummerSlam 2002. Probably my favorite one. The Rock versus Lesnar, SummerSlam, also SummerSlam 02. And then Cena versus Styles, SummerSlam 16.
Okay. For me, it's go ahead, Will.
Cena versus Styles 16 was an outstanding match. That's a great call there. If you haven't watched that one, and then of course, you had Cena and Punk a few years earlier too. Both of those matches are incredible. Great call out, mess around. Go ahead, BB.
Yeah, no, I definitely like the Bulldog Hart match. I thought that was one of my best matches. Hardy Boys, Dudleys, and Edge in SummerSlam 2003, the first ever TLC match. I really enjoyed that one. And then third match, I mean, there's so many. I'll go Rock and Brock. When they fought.
That was a great SummerSlam 2. That was a great match. So 2 matches on that card stick out in my mind.
What are you talking about?
Rock and Brock, and then Burns against Triple H in the Street Fight. Those were incredible matches.
Yeah. Wasn't Piper and Dustin Rhodes match at SummerSlam? The one that they went all over the place? No? Okay. I thought it was. Oh, that was Mania, wasn't it?
Yeah, Mania 12.
Okay. All right, guys.
I'll go. Hey, I still got my picks. Don't you dare.
Well, you said you passed.
Yeah,
I said pass on until I had the time to think.
Oh, okay.
You know how long SummerSlam's been going on?
Yeah.
Mine was always the first main event match, Hogan and the Mega Maniacs versus the Mega Bucks. I mean, that set the pace. I'm going to go, man, you're going to probably kill me on this a little bit. No pun intended, but I'll go Chris Benoit and Randy Orton. I thought that was a great matchup between those two guys. Yeah, and shoot, man. It wasn't as good as their WrestleMania match, but Shawn and Razor ladder match at SummerSlam. But again, there's so many. I mean, Brett and Bulldog. God, it's easier probably to pick which ones were the worst matches and which ones you have the best. I mean, they're just a list of them. They came out with a PWI magazine with like the top matches from SummerSlam. If you guys can find it, Will might have a copy. I know I do. That tells you a list of great SummerSlam matches. I mean, they're just
so
many.
Couple comments here. Number 1, Joe, they were the Mega Powers, not the Mega Maniacs. That was
whatever. Mega Powers, Mega Maniacs, Mega Bucks.
I didn't catch that right away, Will, until you started saying something. I think
you know what? We had so many Mega Powers, Mega Bucks.
Yeah.
Mega Maniacs, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I mean,
So, a couple comments though. Thomas Brunette says his 3 are Brett versus Perfect, which
Yep.
was incredible. Brett versus Bulldog, another great mention, and then Rock versus Triple H ladder match. That was a good one.
Yep.
Then you had Warren Marlowe says his are Rock versus Booker T, which that must have been 2001. I don't really remember that one.
for WCW Championship.
Yeah. Then
Oh, okay.
Brett and Bulldog as the second one.
Yep.
Then HBK versus Triple H. Of course, that was that street fight I was just talking about. That was
Yep.
incredible. And then Cena versus AJ Styles as an honorable mention as the fourth one, which Mess Around mentioned that too. That was a really good one. No doubt about that. I noticed no one said their favorite was Diesel versus Mabel that happened at the 95 SummerSlam. So
That's my secret fantasy one. You just ruined it.
so
So Thomas got a topic maybe for next week. I don't know what he's referring to, but he wants top 3 worst matches. So
Hey, I like that one.
yeah,
I should just join us next week so he can talk about stuff.
yeah.
Thing. I've invited Thomas on here a bunch of times, but he's a big shot over there at Thoughts Count Anywhere on their podcast. So I don't know if he doesn't have time to join us or what. But I would love to
join their podcast and make their podcast even better. You know that.
I would love to get him on here. Thomas is a great historian. I talk to Thomas all the time. And as you see, he always corrects me because if my memory fails me on something, he's right there, Johnny.
Nope.
Huge shout out to Thomas Brunette. The guy is just incredibly intelligent. He knows his
Yes,
wrestling.
he is.
So great stuff, guys.
Now, anybody from Thoughts Count Anywhere, the Chief, Thomas Burnett, jump on anytime. Reach out to us. We'd love to have you on.
3 worst matches, man. Holy cow. That's a good topic. I like that.
In SummerSlam history, he's saying. So maybe we can look at that. We got a little feud going on here. Thomas Burnett says thank you, and then Thomas Glenn says he's a jabroni. So, might see some feuds going on this Saturday. So, but guys, we got anything else we want to cover quick? We got a few minutes left. I don't know if Ace is jumping back on or not, but
I do. I have something I want to cover, guys. So this past week, I saw a new podcast. It was done by Aaron Phillips, who also works with the Chief Thomas Glenn and Thomas Brunette on Thoughts Count Anywhere show, and he started a new podcast. And I'm telling you, man, watching this live that he did, I shared it to everybody. I shared it over here. And if you haven't seen it, let me know, and I'll send you the link. It's only about an hour long, but it was all about mental health, and it was all about, things in society and things that we go through as men and stuff like that, parenting, all kinds of stuff. And man, this show that they did was incredible. So humongous shout out to Aaron Phillips. And if you didn't get the chance to see it and you'd like to catch it, and check it out, let me know. I can drop you the link. It was absolutely incredible, and it was very moving, I can tell you. And I just want to make sure that I gave an honorable mention to that. We talk about Thoughts Count Anywhere all the time. I love the guys, love the podcast. Can't say enough about those guys. They're just incredible people. There's not a lot of incredible people in the world today that you want to shout out and tell people how basically cool they are. I mean, they're just great goddamn people, and forgive the language, but that's the truth. So, but I watched the podcast, man, and it was really moving. It was amazing, and I wanted to give everybody a shout out there. So, if you're not watching Thoughts Count Anywhere on Saturdays at noon Eastern, you're really missing out. Another thing I wanted to talk about too was something that I found was really funny, and I hope you guys are watching it. But if you guys aren't watching Jim Cornette's podcast or listening to it, you guys are missing out because there's some really funny stuff on there. I don't think it's all true, but I think there's quite a bit of humor to be had in that podcast. So I would highly recommend, go on YouTube, check out Jim Cornette's, podcast, especially some of the stuff that he has to say about the ultimate brother. You know, I don't even want to say his name. The leader of Hulkamania. You know, there's some fun stuff on there. Check it out.
All right. Good plugs there. So we're at that hour mark, so let's go around, give our final thoughts, and wrap it up. Mess around. Welcome back to the show. So what's your
Yeah,
final
thanks
thoughts?
for having me. I always enjoy being on here. Hopefully I can be back on next week.
All right. Joe, how about you?
I know, man. I told you guys that earlier. It's great to see Mess around. I've
Yep.
been missing him on the podcast. I've been missing his stuff on Facebook there. You guys ain't never seen what he posts on there, man. That'll crack up your day, dude. You need a little mess around in your life, because you could have the worst day in the world, and he'll just post
His
on
woman might think differently, but whatever.
Hey, sometimes the stuff he posts on there is so accurate, and he's just like, yeah. But
It sure
honestly,
is.
though, guys, thank you guys for everything. I mean, it's great to get on here. It's been a while. It's like my relief.
All right.
Whether I'm right
Well,
or wrong on subjects, but it's always fun to talk about it. Crispy B, I'm gonna beat Will to it tonight. Shout out to Crispy back there, man. He is the rock that keeps this thing going for us. So
yeah.
we're gonna create an action figure of his on a video game there, and we're gonna make him the podcast king.
All right. Well, final thoughts, bud.
So Joe can try to beat me to whatever he wants to try to beat me to, but nobody gives a shout out to Crispy Bacon like I do. So Crispy Bacon, you know, that dude is awesome, and he should definitely be told often how awesome he is. That dude is so intelligent. So huge shout out to Crispy Bacon. Number two, you know, I don't know what the hell happened to Ace of Mania, but he just
He's back there dancing. I see him on screen. I mean,
he just like vanished. So I don't know what the hell he's doing. Mess around, Dave. You know, it's great to have you on here. I don't know why you're not on here more, but you should be. I think they probably just like they should have sent you the agenda so you had a little more preparation time. But we appreciate you being here. Huge shout out to Top Rope Collectibles, my guys over there. Man, I tell you what, we have an awesome team. We have an awesome group. I could never say enough about those guys. They're great. Huge shout out to Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. Absolutely love it. I'm sorry I got on late. Somehow Crispy Bacon messed up sending me the link or something. I don't know what. But no, it wasn't Chris's fault. I think it was the weather. You know, for some reason, right towards the end of my live sale tonight, there was like this big blur. Like everything I put up was nothing but blur. So I don't know if it was the weather or Wi-Fi or what. But and then the same thing. It took me probably 20 or 25 minutes to get on because literally couldn't get a link to come through and couldn't get anything to work. So, but thank you guys. I really appreciate you. Big B, shout out to you. Some of the points you made tonight, some of the matches you called out, incredible stuff, man. And now I want to go watch it. So, thanks for that, and also not thanks for that because now I got to go watch a bunch of stuff. But really, and Ace of Mania, he's so cool that he just left the building. So I don't know where.
he thinks he's so cool.
A&W biography or A&E biography on the Undertaker, man. I'm telling you, that's
next week is Goldberg, I think. But yeah, no, thanks for you guys coming on. It's always a joy.
My favorite wrestler, Goldberg.
Talking wrestling. If you guys didn't know, we've been promoting it. We are on Amazon Fire Stick now. Live shows. I think our pre-recorded shows will be on there too. I would ask Chris, but he stepped away. So with that being said, just keep checking out Coast to Coast. Keep checking out Top Rope Collectibles. Jump over on Saturdays and talk to Thoughts Count Anywhere. Their guys' show. So with that being said, Mess Around, Joe, Will, Big B, and Ace, and Crispy Bacon. We all want to thank you and check you out next week on Tuesday Night Mania. Have a good night.